We met at a party. We were not serving God, 1987, and he had been terribly hurt, and I had been terribly hurt from past relationships.
That's why, because I'd been drinking and partying and having a good time, but it was hard on me because I just lost my girlfriend. And that tore me up, and I was mad at God for taking her instead of me. Because when I met her, she slowed me down. And she was getting me going back to church and stuff, and all the stuff that I was broke away from. And for some reason, we was going to the drive-in that night to see my friend of mine and his girlfriend, and we was in a bad car wreck. Another car run into us, or they say their speedometer broke at 110 miles an hour is what I was told. I don't know exactly all stuff, because it put me unconscious for a long time. I don't know exactly how long. They said I was unconscious for 6 or 8 weeks or something in the hospital. And I didn't even know, I don't even remember being in the hospital. And I fought with God about taking her because I was the one that was in. I think I was the one that was wrong, because I don't know. All I know about my wreck is that they said they had to saw a tree down to get me.
And my son had been killed. My brother had been killed. My mother had been killed. My marriage of 22 years had ended in a very hurtful and disgraceful way. And my uncle died in that period of time. And I felt like that I always felt like there was a God, but I felt like he didn't care about me very much. I felt like he wasn't looking out for me. And so my son liked, this is before I met Butch, my son liked 3 weeks being 16. And he was a good boy. He was, actually, he was Sunday school superintendent for a church. He went to church, he worked, he made good grades, and I allowed him to have a Mustang bus. And he came around the curve and flipped the car, and it killed him instantly. And I wanted to die. I really wanted to die. And so they say we connect with people at the point of our pain. And I think me and Butch connected at that point of pain. We met at a party. We were not serving God. We met at a party, and I was dressed in an Indian outfit. And Butch, having Indian heritage, kind of liked the idea that I was a squaw. So I was taken with him from the beginning. He had black hair and pretty brown eyes, and I couldn't take my eyes off of him.
Inside the building knew where the bar was. I went in there and something hit me that night. I said, God, I gotta have some help.
And then he uses the line, God sending me, and then later he says, God, what was you thinking? Later I found out that he was 15 years younger than me. And I kind of backed up. I mean, I was kind of upset about it. I knew how society feels about it. And, but I sort of fell into the cougar role, and I guess now I'm just an old cat. But
and I appreciate everything she's done for me.
We had been dating for several months, and then we decided we needed to move in together, so we did. About 6 months into the relationship, it was somewhere close to that, he asked me to marry him, but we had been going to a 12-step group, and that's where he got sober. But I still wouldn't marry him until he'd been sober a year. And after that, we started going to church, going to the 12-step meetings, and started getting active in the church. And so that's how that relationship began.
We had a wedding, and my cousin, who was a preacher, he done the service for us. So that's it. And now you can see she turned my hair white for being being such a good woman, I reckon. So,
I married a hunk,
and
and he turned into a chunk, and he said it was my fault because I cooked and made him fat and worried him and he turned gray. His brother-in-law started out having lung cancer and he died. It went to his brain. And his sister died. And so I was able to support him during that, and he was able to be there for me during a lot of hard times with my kids. He doesn't have any kids, and I had 2 sons. One had been killed, so I had 2 sons and a bunch of grandkids and great-grandkids and all that, and so he has been there for me. And not only that, I was working with the state, and he's the first man I've ever been around that encouraged me to go to training, to go to workshops, and while we were mad. And looking back on my life, I realized that God took a mess and made something beautiful. So it's been really good for me coming to church and serving God with Butch and living with him, and we both have kind of a sense of humor, and so we kind of get through a lot of hard places by laughing, making jokes. And if you're asking me if our marriage is perfect, it's not perfect. Sometimes you can hear us explaining things to each other a mile down the road, but we don't get violent, and we don't do stupid stuff. So I praise God for the relationship. I praise God for how He changed our lives. September of 2011, me and Butch joined Wiley Church. And up until then, I did not want to, because I've always had a heart for alcoholics and drug addicts. And I couldn't really feel like that anybody had a heart for alcoholics and drug addicts until Carla and Brother Adam came. And when I saw their heart, when I saw their heart to help hurting people, then that made me want to join and want to be a part of something greater.
When I come to Wiley, I enjoyed being able to meet the people. They were friendly, and I got to also get to, well, I like to open doors for people anyway. I got to where I could greet people at the door, and people seemed to like it. And I ended up getting to be one of the ushers, or whatever you want to call them, greeters or whatever. I really, it makes me happy to do something like that for people, and make them smile, and give them. That makes me feel good if I can make somebody laugh or do something like that. It just makes me feel good. And I've got a new life now. I mean, He gave me her, and she's helped the Lord keep me straight. I'm not giving her up for nobody.